So thanks, everybody, for joining this afternoon. In case people are watching online, don't know who I am, I'm Joe Loughlin, the lead pastor at First Baptist Church in Temple, Texas. And with me on the Zoom call today is Evan Duncan, our teaching and communications pastor, and also Josh Flores Olvera, who is our missions minister at First Baptist Church Temple. And then we have two guests with us today who are good friends. So we have Brother Bennie Walsh, who is the president of the Temple branch of the NAACP. And we have Skeeta Jenkins, who is the state director of the Giacosa Foundation. And Giacosa is involved in foster care and adoption services for families in our state. These two gentlemen are brothers in Christ of ours, and we have a friendship. We're growing together. And so Bennie and Skeeta, thank you for joining us today in this talk. Thank you for carving out time to do that for us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So I guess I want to start with just letting you know that the real reason we wanted to do this is because we want to listen. We want to learn and grow. As a leader of a very predominantly white church in Central Texas, we certainly have members and attenders from many different ethnicities and skin colors, but we still are a very heavily predominantly white congregation. We also have a very serious responsibility in our community to lead well and to speak up, and because we have a platform and a place to do that, and we really need to be doing that. So I think as a leader of a predominantly white church, also being a 50-something-year-old white male who grew up in the South myself, I think one of my most important responsibilities right now is to not talk, but listen and learn, but not in order to stay silent, but listen and learn so that I can lead well and speak to issues in a way that is helpful and productive and meaningful. So I guess I want to begin by just saying, Bennie, and then Skeeta after that. Bennie, would you just tell us kind of how you're doing in the aftermath of the recent death of George Floyd? And of course, there have been many, many others. How are you doing, brother? And how is our African-American community doing? What is the feel? What is the sense in the community?
Yes, sir. First, I want to say that we just heard that they did charge the other 3 police officers in Minnesota. So that's great, and hopefully that'll help the community there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on an emotional roller coaster because me as a Christian Black man want to do what's right, but me as a Black man that is angered by this want to do wrong. And so my emotions are here and there. When I talk with different people, I hear things that they're having these emotional roller coasters too. We want this to be healed, but we don't know how to heal it. We know that at times we feel we haven't done anything wrong. So why is it continuing? I was talking with Pastor Roscoe Harrison just yesterday, and we both are about our 70s, and he's a little older. First thing he said to me, "Man, you're the 60s, don't it?" Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. And it just shouldn't be happening again. It just shouldn't be happening again. So we're trying to adjust. We're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to help heal. So it's just an emotional roller coaster.
And
Go ahead,
to,
Skeeta. Mm-hmm.
and to echo that, I think just trying to be strong for my wife and my girls. But I think Brother Benny hit the nail on the coffin. It has been emotional roller coaster. And even after, I don't think I've cried so much in my life. And whether it's watching TV or reading something, my emotions are just so heightened right now. And I know tears are a good thing, but I, I, I haven't cried this much in a long time since the passing of my grandmother. It hurts, man, just to see different things that are going on in the world. And just like Benny, being a Christian, it makes it almost like a double-edged sword. You can, I know to be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. But just watching the life taken out of that man was just so traumatizing. And then to top it off, the lady in Central Park, Amy Cooper, it brought back memories of Emmett Till, just how this woman made a threat. I'm going to tell him that you're black and that you're threatening me. She gave a man a life sentence with just by saying those words. And that just took me over the top when she said that. But again, to echo what Benny said, that's hurt. I mean, big time. And think about this for a second. I'm 6'3", 253 pounds. Automatically look like a threat to people when, if they just knew my heart, they would know that I'm not a threat to them. But some people will treat you like I'm trying to think of a story in the Bible, the Good Samaritan. They'll treat you like the man who was on the ground injured. They'll walk around you, they'll clench their purse. And I don't say nothing about it, but it hurts. It really hurts. And I think uh, I, I've been racking my brain about solutions and solutions and solutions. And I think being hateful is just a heart problem. And until this world comes together and think of and just feel that I bleed red, you bleed red. We got so much in common, but people they don't even see that. I saw a video the other day. This guy was like, before you call the police, I just wanted you to know I'm a father, I'm a Christian, I don't hate the president, I have 2 kids, I have a brother, I have a mom. And it was so powerful because he said, think about that. People call the police. I've seen, I don't know, man. It's just so much to take in. And I can see why people are angry because they're fed up.
And the bad thing is, it's nothing that we have done. It's simply because of our skin color. That's the bad part. I was thinking about the police officer that shot the man in Dallas in his own home. It was simply because of his skin color. I guarantee you, if that had been a white man in there, that she wouldn't have never shot that man. As Skeeta was saying, he's a big fella, and I was telling my son-in-law, because he's a big fella too. You're a double threat. You're a double threat just because you're a big fella. I can't understand it. And like Skeeter said, we've been crying. We've been crying because it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. My grandfather, what they call Geechee, he was part Indian, part French, and he was born in Louisiana. And they took a rope and tied it around my grandfather and threw him out in the swamp to catch alligators. They used him as alligator bait. And as close as the alligator get to him, they would scream, "Swim, nigga, swim." Why is this hatred continuing? That is what I can't understand. And then you got Christian people that when you go to a white church, some of them avoid you. They will stay away from you just because of your skin color, don't know a single thing about you. And it's difficult. It's difficult to live in this world today. There's a pandemic going on. My son in Kansas City said, I dare not wear a mask. I am not going to give them another reason to shoot me during a pandemic. It's sad, sad.
That's an amazing thing to hear. It really is.
Brother Joe,
Go
I
ahead,
think,
Skeeta, go ahead.
Brother Joe, I think you don't talk about stuff and you get numb to it because it happens so much. So you may get people saying, well, why they don't say anything about this? It happens so much. And I think people are so mad because we saw this tape play before with somebody else got killed by the police. They got off. And speaking of the police, and I know Benny feels the same way, all police are not bad. So let's just clear that up and get that out there right now. But if you ever heard that saying, sometimes the bad apple spoils it for the whole bunch. And I think it's dangerous for people to put all police in a single category. But that's how people do when stuff happens like this. But this time is different. This time is totally different because you have people protesting, young blacks, young whites, young Hispanics. They're in hand protesting. And yeah, you got the bad apples coming in trying to create havoc, but we're seeing something. It's different this time. It's a gut check for everybody.
You know, as I've talked to each of you on the phone in the last few days, I certainly have sensed the raw emotion in your voice. It was very different than the last time I've talked to each of you on the phone or in person. There was a raw emotion present that wasn't there before. Not that you haven't had this emotion before. It's just that when the last time we talked wasn't in the middle of or in response to a situation like this. So I certainly have sensed that as well. One of the things I asked Bennie was, you know, what do I as a leader in the community, what do I as the leader of a predominantly white church, what do I as a white man need to hear? What do I need to hear so that I can better understand what I need to do? So, Bennie, you shared with me an idea or thought, and if you'll just share with us what's on your mind when I ask that question, and then I also want to give Evan and Josh opportunity to ask questions as well. I don't want to dominate the conversation, but go ahead.
Yeah, when you asked that question, I brought my mind went back to Angela Davis, who was an activist in the 60s. And what she said is, you say you're not racist, but are you anti-racist? And I have noticed that people are picking up on that anti-racist now. That's the key. That's the key. You may not be racist, but if you ain't doing nothing about racism and what's going on around the world, you're part of it. You're part of it. We have to come together as a community, white, black, red, no matter what, to get rid of racism. I was brought up in racism. As a kid, I had two white friends, young kids, and we played every day. Seemed like I don't remember missing a day of playing with them. And then one day, my older brother and uncle saw us two playing, and they said, "What y'all do? What you doing playing with those? You know, such a beat them up. Why?" I said, "Beat them up right now." So they made me beat my best friends up, and I never seen them again the rest of my life, being in that neighborhood. And years went by. I asked my uncle and brother, "Why did y'all make me beat my friends up? Why?" They said, "Because of what they did to your grandfather." But these kids had nothing to do with my grandfather. Generational curses has caused part of this racist problem that we have. Me and you have talked, Joe, You'll tell me about you being raised up in the South and some of the generational curses that came from your childhood and probably other childhoods that have lingered on until what we're dealing with now. But it has nothing to do with us, but it's still lingering on.
Yeah. Yeah. Evan, Josh, go ahead with the question if you have one. Maybe the best part about this is we haven't scripted it, and we haven't come with a list of questions we gave you ahead of time so that you could form your answers and all that. We're just having a conversation as friends, and so go ahead, guys. If you have a question, go ahead, chime in.
I would ask, is there something you're kind of sick of hearing from maybe the white church or the white community? This, like you mentioned, this is not the first video, and we've had conversations before. Is there something maybe you're sick of hearing?
Just what I said before, I'm not racist. I'm sick of hearing, I'm not racist. Just show me love. Proof is in the pudding. If you showing me the love, you don't have to tell me you're not racist. You're showing me, and that's more important.
Yeah.
And usually when you start out saying I'm not racist, but there's always a but behind it.
even though, or in spite of, yeah.
Brother Benny hit on something I just talked about I do something on Facebook just to give people hope and encourage them. And he touched on something that was key. I know the greatest commandment is to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. But he said the second one is even greater than the first. So if you're loving people, you're loving God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And if we can just learn to get uncomfortable, get out of your comfort zone, and do things with people, we all, and it's not just whites, it's not just Hispanics, it's blacks too. We feel more comfortable doing things with people who look like us.
Mm-hmm.
But the way things are right now, sometimes you got to cross those lines and be the first person. And don't go to the person and just start talking about stuff. See, everybody on this conversation can come and speak to me because I have a relationship with you.
Yeah.
Jesus had relationships with people. Think about this. The man didn't have to surround himself with anyone, but he chose to surround himself with 12 people who didn't look like him, who didn't talk like him, who didn't sound like him, from different backgrounds. I think it was to show us a lesson.
Mm.
We have to surround ourselves with people, whether we like it or not, who don't look and sound like us, because you can learn from me and I can learn from you. But the thing is, somebody got to take the next step. And we can have these conversations for years and years because, like Evan said, there's a bunch of conversations going, but sometimes we got to put feet with it. And you say you love Jesus, well, show me. Do stuff go out and volunteer. I'm not saying put yourself in danger by any means, but it's a point in time right now, and I think the world is watching. Every church is watching for us as Christians to step out on the forefront of this and do something about it. And what better view to give people than, instead of them saying, oh, look at these Christians doing this, let's give them a reason to say, wow, they are working together. There's something beautiful about people working together. And I saw it when I went to Africa, when we were on a mission trip. The whole Rwanda got together on a Saturday. They closed everything down for 3 hours and everybody do community service. And that thought hit me, Lord, this is what you was talking about when you're talking about the Hutsis and the Tutsis. 15 years ago, they killed each other. And now to see them work together in harmony and do something for a greater cause. We built a road in one day because of all of these thousands of people getting together for one common cause. I posted something about I need to drop my agenda. You need to drop your agenda, and we need to come up with our agenda which will lead to God's agenda, because that's the ultimate goal, is to do things God's way. But if we do things God's way, it's our agenda. It's easy. I did this, I did that. No, we need to add we to it. What are we doing together? I think if we create stuff where we interacting with other people, volunteering together, or whatever it may be. Let's go clean up some an older lady. Let's go clean up her house, cut her grass, and all of us together, so people in the community could see it. We don't have to say anything to anybody. Let's just all do stuff together, just to be an example of other people. I can keep talking, so I'm gonna be quiet.
You're preaching, Skeeta. But yeah, and people have to realize now that we're all one. God created one man and one woman. We're all one. So when you're killing me, you're killing your cousin, you're killing your sister, you're killing your brother. So we have, as Skeeta was saying, we gotta get people to realize that we are one. We only got the same blood that's running in me, you, and so forth and so on. It's the same blood. We are kin. We are one.
Thank you for that, Benny. So as I look back on my experience with racism, also as a person of color, the most painful memory I have with racism was caused by a person who was a white Southern male. Yeah. But then I also look back on that experience, and the most healing experience that I've had of healing from the experience of the racism I've experienced was also with the white Southern male. And like, as I look back on that experience, I don't think it was chance. I think God was intentional in that, of using that same sort of demographic to heal what was caused in an experience with that demographic. So I guess my question to you would be, how can the community, how would you guys state that the community that has largely been the influencer behind this dynamic that has caused you guys this grief, this roller coaster of emotion, how can that demographic also allow themselves to be used by God's Spirit to be the leaders in the role of healing, at least to provide that space, if that makes sense?
I think Benny touched on it, in the sense of, we could feel when we're being loved, and we could feel when you're being real. We could feel when it's fake. I think it's genuinely loving people. And you could start by, Jesus started it with, the thing I love about Jesus being a big guy is he ate a lot. And you can get a lot accomplished around the table, inviting people over. I've been to Joe's house, I've been to Josh's house. Invite people over. That's a start. And getting to know them, just getting to know them for who they are. And when the time comes, you feel the relationship is right, ask those tough questions. Don't keep them in your head of, man, I really want to ask Skeeta this, but I don't want to hurt his feelings or cause some grief. No, the only way you're going to find out about something, my grandmother always told me, is maybe you ask. They either could tell you yes, or they could tell you no. And I think asking and just loving people, it all goes back to loving them.
Yeah, I piggyback off what Skeeta just said, is especially around the table. For some reason, just yesterday, I think something came to my mind about being a part of a family, of a white family, being part, to feel like you're part, to feel like you're wanted, you're accepted. I have a friend, y'all know Danny Dunn. Every year, my wife and I are over his house. I told him this year that I wasn't coming over because of the Michael Dean incident was going on during the same time. Immediately, he said, if you don't bring your butt over there, I'm coming to get you. I want you here, no matter what anybody else say at this house. I want you here. That's the kind of love I'm talking about. Excuse me.
And it's the love you guys show, man. Joe, Evan, Josh. Josh, you're like my brother, man. I truly enjoy the. I've told you stuff that I probably haven't told my own brothers or sisters, but I think it's being intentional about being a part of other people's lives. You know, I know my neighbor to the left. I can literally sit here and say, I know my neighbor to the left. I know my neighbor to the right of me. I know my neighbors in front of me. I don't know the neighbor behind me because every time I look up, somebody new's in the house. But in being intentional about knowing the people in your neighborhood. I walk this neighborhood every day. I speak to, whether you speak to me or not, back. I make it a point to speak to people in the neighborhood where they can see, oh my, even if you have a perception of me that I may hurt you or do this, I make it a point to speak to you. You may be uncomfortable, but that's on you. It's not on me. And I think too many people pick up a magnifying glass and we magnify everything everybody does wrong. And at the end of the day, God calls all of us to look in the mirror and say, what is Skeeta doing to make this world a better place? I'm so grateful and thankful for a grandmother who loved me enough to show me and say, look, you see that book right there? Yeah. It say love people. If people don't leave you different in a good way, then they come to you, then you didn't love them the right way. And I'm not saying, making people uncomfortable, but my girls ask me all the time, Daddy, how do you know so many people? And it's not because for show, it's because I want to be intentional about showing them what it truly means to love someone. Now I know my girls are not boys, but I know I'm still gonna have to have that same conversation. Baby, when you get, Kiara's about to drive, and I want her to drive, but part of me is scared, as you know what, for her driving, because it happens to African American men more, but it also happened to African American women driving cars and just being, yeah, just being accused before you even step out the car. It just irks me sometimes to just think of, and I'm not saying this, dearest, for anybody to feel sorry for me, because I know where my help comes from. All my help comes from the Lord, but I know in order for me to make things better, I have to do a better job of self-reflecting for myself too, to see, because we always won't put prejudice on one race. And I ask the Lord every day, Lord, if I have any prejudice in my heart, create me a clean heart, because not just whites are racist. There are blacks that are racist, Hispanics that are racist. And that's why I'm saying we all have to play a part in it and examine ourselves. We just have to examine ourselves. And Pastor Joe, I have to be honest about this. When you asked me to come and preach at the church, fear just set in. I'm like, what? Preach at your church? That was my first thought. But I was like, you know what? Then reality said, and I'm like, you know what? I know Pastor Joe. I know he wouldn't put me in a situation that he wants me to feel uncomfortable. Lord, please lead and guide me to say what you want me to say. And it was one of the greatest experiences I ever experienced. But I have to be honest, a little fear set in. And not because I knew people in the church, but I just never spoke at a predominantly white church before. And it was one of the greatest experiences ever. So I think I don't have to be on your staff at the church, and I'm intentional about coming to your church. So people, and I just love what I've been seeing before the pandemic. I mean, yes, it's predominantly white, but man, I start to see some color every Sunday. That was different colors starting to pop up in the church, and that's the church. I'm sorry, but for people who want an all-white church, all black. The church is different colors. That's the church that God wants to see. All these people coming together for one common cause, and it's to worship Him.
I do say that our dream at First Temple, that we're trying, the climate we're trying, or culture we're trying to build at First Temple, is that we would more and more reflect the community we serve. And yeah, there are more and more non-white people coming to our church, but we're nowhere near reflective of the community God has placed us in. We want to eventually, I mean, our dream is eventually to where we are a mirror image of the population around us in scale. And, you know, currently in the state of Texas, there is no majority ethnicity in the state of Texas. So that when you look at the state of Texas, you can't pick out one skin color or ethnicity that is predominant. My dream is that First Temple, people show up and they would not be able to tell what is the predominant skin color or ethnicity in the room. And so we have a long way to go. I don't, you know, this is the kind of stuff maybe we need to do more often, gentlemen, because we could talk for hours on this, but we also want people to watch and listen. So maybe we give them, as Josh said earlier in our talk about we discover things that are digestible. Well, maybe that comes in small bites too. So maybe this is the first of several type Zoom calls we'll take. But I don't want to stop without talking about this real quickly. Bennie, you have, in your leadership with the NAACP, have put together an event for Saturday afternoon, June 6th at 2 p.m. in Miller Park. Would you talk just for a minute about that and give us some details? I know I plan to be there. I know many from our church are planning to come. I know Skeeta's going to be there. So if you could give us a little detail about that and what to expect, and we'll probably kind of end on that note right there. It's something for us to do. You know, my fear is that what will happen is it'll almost be like when a friend or someone we know in the community passes away, everybody rallies around that family and loves on them, and the funeral happens and the graveside happens, and then people go on about their business and their life, and yet that family's still there to grieve. And quite frankly, they're in need of that kind of comfort and support months and years on down the road, not just 2 or 3 days. I know what happens in our culture right now. Everything is kind of being talked about, and we're kind of responding and we're loving on and all of that. But this time next week, it'll take another event, God forbid, but it'll take another event for us to bring this back up again and reach out to each other. And that's not what we want. That's not helpful. So what's Saturday going to be about for us, brother?
Yeah, of course, you know, of all the protests and riots and things that are going around. Our staff met and we decided we didn't want to use the word protest. We want to use something that is inviting, something that is caring, something that is healing. And so we came up with a solidarity prayer. And so what we're going to do is I done contacted different people. They're going to be praying for healing. They're going to be praying for the state. They're going to be praying for the community. And of course, a few people like Pastor Joe and myself, we're going to get up and say a few words, and hopefully we can comfort someone where they can get to where we're going. I have seen great things happen with me and Joe's relationship, and there's a few other white gentlemen around that when I'm going through something, they are the first ones on the phone to help me heal it and make through it. And so we're trying to get to that point where everybody can do that. So it'll be at 2 o'clock Saturday at Miller's Park. And just hopefully everyone be there and bring your Holy Ghost with you so we can touch someone else. Amen.
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 Yeah. That's great. Bennie and Skeeta, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule, your work schedule. Thank you for doing that. We really appreciate it. Both of you have come and been on the platform with us at First Temple. Those were not one-time things. They will happen again. I have to be a little careful about inviting Skeeta because Skeeta still to this day has the highest number of playbacks on any sermon video in the history of First Temple. And so I will say Josh Flores Olvera has the second highest number of playbacks. But Skeeta is still way out there.
All right, Skeeta.
And so, you know, a pastor's ego has to be careful who he invites to the pulpit, right?
Right.
Yeah. My playbacks stay in single digit, you know, and Skeeta's out there.
So people ask, where's Skeeta?
Yeah. So anyway, both of you have been on the platform with us. That will happen again and needs to happen even more often. So thank you for your love for us, for your patience with us. Thanks for helping us. And I look forward to many more meals together and times together offline, not being recorded.
Right.
And not just in times of crisis or tragic event, but day to day. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your desire to.
Yeah.
We love you guys. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll see you Saturday, 2 o'clock.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah. All right. Bye.
See you, Benny.